Gamers from around sub-Saharan Africa, get ready for the return of the African Gaming Championship for 2026. We're heading to Cape Town, South Africa, where players will be competing at Grand West for 150,000 Rand in cash. This is where the top players from Africa gather to be able to compete. This is where bragging rights are earned. This is where new stars rise. This is where legends are made and legends fall. This is the crowning moment of African esports. This is AGC.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the ACGL AGC, coming at you live from the Grand West Arena in Cape Town. I'm Nari Mizuki. I'm going to be taking you through a full action-packed day of Valorant, and I'm joined once again by the amazing Rigger. How are you feeling here on this championship Saturday?
I'm excited. I think there's a lot on the line here for both teams, for the national pride of South Africa as a whole, and potentially a couple of narratives developing currently for some of the newer faces in the scene. So going to be a pretty chock-full day. We have semi-finals number 2, meeting Not Craig in the finals. Is going to be either one of these teams, Goliath versus Gascom Gaming.
Now, before we dive into the nitty-gritty of all of that, a reminder, folks, as I said, we are live at the Grand West Arena in Cape Town. So if you're in Cape Town and you're not here, why? Come on down. Entrance is free. The crowd is filling up. So if you do want to be a part of this, make sure that you get your butts here as quickly as possible. And it's not just the Valorant that's happening. We've got Fortnite going on as well. We've got a variety of other games going on around the venue. So it's going to be an absolute vibe. And you can come say hello, meet some of your favorite friends, and, have a good time.
Yep.
Now, let's dive into this, because we had our first semi-final yesterday. You mentioned it, Not Craig, already booking themselves a seat in that grand final. But for semi-final number 2, we have Gascom Esports, who have had a lot of good results over the last few months, taking on a bit of a titan in the South African esports scene. Of course, it's going to be Goliath Gaming.
Yeah, it's going to be a head-to-head of arguably the number 1 and 2 teams in South Africa, Goliath Gaming, versus an upstart in Gascom Gaming, right? Gascom has been arguably in top 10 for a while, but as the years have gone through, roster changes and iterations, they've come up and they're arguably top 5, top 6, right? They're on those bubbles, but we're going to go into this grand final. It's a BO3. We're going to have Lotus, followed by Split, followed by Breeze Decider.
Breeze is an interesting one. I mean, we know that that's an aiming map, but that's depending on if we actually do get there, and I think that'll be a fun battlefield. But before that, like you said, the Lotus and the Split. Now, we have so many thoughts around this. Obviously, I say obviously, so you guys can see Gascom picked Lotus, but we know that Goliath played about 3 maps of Lotus yesterday. Yep. It's one of their best maps. They're super happy with that. So it kind of feels like the veto is leaning heavily in favor of Goliath today.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where even Goliath Gaming was complaining about how much Lotus they're playing yesterday in group stage, right? Trying to mix up the monotony somewhat, and they ended up playing up Split, the only map that they lost throughout the entirety of yesterday. So Goliath coming into this after playing a series of best of ones, 1 BO3, and now going into arguably the most important BO3 of the weekend, right? Guaranteeing that grand final slot.
Yeah, I mean, bearing in mind the grand final is the best of 5, right? So this is the most important best of 3 for them. But now let's talk a little bit about the caliber and the pedigree of the teams that we have here, right? Because Goliath Gaming in particular, and I'm going to start with them just because they have that kind of elevated status. You've got previous LAN winners in Thuy, who won the very first Valorant LAN we ever had. And he was playing against a Morgs and a Travis, who ended up losing that one. Now Morgs is back, Travis is back. Travis is back he's won LANs on other games, but he's never won a Valorant LAN. So now with these combined forces, and then you've got kind of the younger talent of Astral and Rudy, who Astral in his own right has had a lot of success. This feels like a powerhouse roster.
Yeah, it's a big one. I think Astral won the last AGC under a completely different banner. Rudy has, I think, also in the same team. I think he was in Goblin Gang Gaming when they won it. So the only person who's fishing for those Valorant lands is arguably our veterans, Thuy, or not Thuy, Morgs and Travis here.
Yes.
So going to this is going to be pretty tense for those guys. There's a lot of on the line here besides other stuff with more international ramifications. So want to touch on Astral. I think this is a player that we need to be watching out for today. I think he's been on a tear. He's won Last AGC, Season 4, Season 5, and now potentially looking for his fifth win in a row. And it's going to be second LAN win in, what, 5 appearances?
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned those international ramifications, and I think it's worth kind of just pointing out very briefly now as we go in. We don't want to take away from the prestige of Goliath themselves, but it is worth noting that this Goliath roster is also going to be representing South Africa at the Esports Nations Cup in September. So there's a lot of stakes here for this team in a variety of different ways and manner. Also bearing in mind that they lost Season 3, so there's a lot of eyes on this team. But we can't ignore Gascom, right? You were talking about how they've had some of these like roster changes and reiterations, and players like Silly Epic and Fresno that have been around for donkey's years and are now kind of getting the kinds of results that they've been wanting to get, finding themselves here on the stage and vying for that grand final spot.
Yeah, and it's going to be a bit of an uphill effort here. Gascon, the underdogs going into this grand final here, is, like you mentioned, Silly Epic being bolstered up in the roster. James W being a big part of why this Gascon roster is where they are, but that's enough preamble. It's AGC, sponsored by the ACGL. Semi-finals number 2 for spot in grand finals. It's Wriggle and Naori Mizuki.
Let's dive into our first map of this semi-final. And reminder, we've got an MVP prize, guys. So acgl.gg/vote. Your votes matter. Whoever wins MVP at the end of the weekend wins a 1,000 Rand prize. So we'll be reminding you guys throughout the day, but please do go and vote for that. There's also an Acer Android box up for grant. It's the Acer MVP. So make sure that you get your votes in. Let's dive straight into the action now, however. Looks like Gascom going to be pulling through on the attacking side here. Very heavy lean over towards A for the moment. Just going for that orb control, though. They're not committing just yet. In fact, it looks like they've just gotten the control and now are willing to pull back and rethink the play. Yeah,
they're a bit of a poking and prodding towards that A side of the area. I think they saw Viper or Astral in stairs and just bailed out of it entirely. But Rudy teeing up here, looking to get the first blood for the series.
Atomical has actually been inserted. Now, normally that's the role that the Viper would play. You kind of set them up for the late lurk, but they're sending in Atomical, which is really cool. You've got that ISO shield that you can kind of work off of. You can run distraction, and with it being a duelist, you might be able to, oh my god, okay, literally across the map at the same time. Pistols pop off. The first 2 kills for Goliath, and the first pillars fall for Gascom. Now Fresno manages to battle back a little bit, not going to stop them from getting that plant going down. Travis keeping the numbers advantage firmly for Goliath, but he's quick to fall on the other side. Only 2 remaining for Gascom, have to control of this site, and so low on health. The paranoia comes through, but he can't get his gun out in time, but it's Sangonika! It's a collateral to end our first pistol of the day.
Yeah, Astral, the man of the moment, opens up our series with the first blood on Atomical and then closes it out with a double kill. A pretty neat one to be said at that. And Gascom on the gauge of greatness there, but Sun God Nika, or Astral in this case, too strong, too potent on that anchor hold. He's definitely one of the conversations for best Sentinel in the country, right? There's maybe a list of 3 Sentinels at any given moment, but in every single list possible, it's always going to have Astral. So Bucky have a lot of work to do here if he's going to be surpassing that Sentinel, that strong anchor on that side of the map. But Goliath Gaming, rather, getting an early lead into this game.
I'm just really glad to see the Viper coming out, right? Like I was talking about the way you set up that Viper on the attacking side, but of course we're going to see from GG here the way that you utilize it on the defensive side. I will say the wall that they've set up is really interesting, and I'd love to get your input on that a little bit later on. But for now, we move into the next round. The shield being used just to ensure them a little bit of space to work with. Rudy he's kind of forced to teleport away and give over that space. But again, it's just a little bit of early orb control. Gascom haven't yet committed.
Yeah, but the recall is going to come through A main, so they have control of all of this A main space. They don't have control of the B main space yet, and they're trying to re-aggress into it, but they don't need to. I think Morgs is holding up with the Bulldog B main. He's playing off that Cypher contact, and Thui teed up here, looking to get the first kill, sees the contact, shots fired, but no kills to be found.
And this is still a bit of an anti-eco situation. So for Gascom, it's just kind of, they got the orbs, and that's already, they've done so much in this round. Now if they can get a little bit of damage done, that would be great. Doesn't seem like it's likely, though. And again, having taken that orb control, they're now going to pivot away. We've got a setup from Rudy though, so he was forced to give up that space earlier, but he was able to re-clear it. Gascom realized they need to re-clear as well. The vulnerable comes forward and again forces it back. Oh my god, Silly Epic himself also vulnerable up, so he gets eliminated, but Fresno very quick on the swing, can trade onto Rudy. A little bit of damage done here, spike planted. This is an amazing eco round for Gascom. Even if nothing else comes from it, they've done so much. But with that spike planted, if they can control the space and hold the line, they're actually in with an opportunity. Unfortunately, Bulldog and Marshall get a ton of damage thrown out. Tomical trying desperately just to get that little bit more done. But of course, Astral with another 3K, another multi-frag, drags Goliath over the finish line. But again, amazing eco round for Gascom.
Yeah, it's a lot of really Pyrrhic victories here. They get the spike down, they get the additional money that comes from having that spike down, and a really good start to their round, getting those baseline win cons going on, right? So, especially also the C side of the map, Rudy's oftentimes going to be that C anchor. The last time we saw him, he was teeing off. I think he had something like 11 first bloods going into that series, so keeping an eye on Rudy here, seeing if he can find as much value. But right now, Astral being a big part of this Goliath Gaming side's success.
Bonne chance, mes amis.
And the thing about the Viper ultimate, you have to get so many orbs.
Yeah.
2 back-to-back 3Ks, and he still needs another multi-frag to get that online. It's quite a scary position to be in, but that's okay. The rest of the team are slowly working their way to their ultimates. Now Gascom looking to just kind of keep hitting this C site, see if they can get a bit more results on it this time around. But again, Astral kicks things off with another first blood.
Oh,
that's the spike dropped over the wall. Astral, this is his site, brother. No one is allowed to play here. Already found that 3K. The Viper's Pit's online. He's not going to use it now, but in 3 rounds,
that's
he's
4.
got it on. He's
Wait a
picked
minute.
up the 4th kill, and he's looking for that
Give it to
ace.
him.
He's hungry for
Give it
it.
to him.
I don't think it's going to happen. You want to be so sure that you win this round as cleanly as possible, and he's not going to be able to take it. So James at least finds 1 kill, but they know where he is. Paranoia comes out, Theory runs him over, and Goliath just extend that lead.
Yeah, Astral making us see our words in action, right? We spoke about him being a really strong anchor, a really strong sentinel in role as well, and coming out with 3 kills, and then 4 kills in the next round. Like, he's so close to that ace, he's so close to stamping his legacy as one of the better sentinels. But looking towards Gascom, right, we have James Lackerwood and we have Silly Epic, like you mentioned. Silly Epic starting to find a bit of relevance here, but James W, someone who's just been sort of a community favorite. He's just been a sort of folk hero coming into this. So him being on the big stage is a testament to the amount of work he's putting in behind the scenes. As this Gascom team, somewhat a throw-together team, but with big ambitions here. Going into this, Rudy's going to find that first kill. Tease off on Tomical.
Now, given the fact that this is an anti-eco, so we've got a little bit of time to maybe just chat a bit, because one of the things that you mentioned yesterday was about having a Viper, right? We were a little disappointed to not see it coming through on Lotus, and you were saying when you have a Viper, no one's hitting that site, and it feels like that's exactly what's playing out here.
Yeah, and it's really hard to walk through that because you get fully decayed. But Lucky, gonna find the first one, but get closed out and shut out by Rudy.
Yeah, 4K from Rudy. Again, anti-eco, not an important round in the grand scheme of things. But like we were saying, right, the Viper just plays a super important role in how that locks it down. You kind of double that up with the chamber as well. No one's getting onto the C site. The question now is, do they keep hitting that C site?
I think you have to explore it, to be honest. You have the ISO, and you can just cross that first line, especially once that op's online. So it's going to be a bit of a hard-worked effort there towards that C side of the map. I think the big thing is, can you dominate this A? I think you kind of pick the ISO to dominate there.
You want to play? Let's play.
All right, Twitter Force comes out. Hasn't deterred them from at least trying to take this space. Nice opener here from James. That's Stewie taken down, so that's Smokes offline. As we know, Viper no longer available to just kind of hot swap where her smoke goes. So that makes things a little bit more tricky.
Viper's walked all the way up A. Oh, C long as well. It's going to test completely all of this. So you have to re-clear basically from your spawn.
Well, it is being kind of read into... Ooh, the drone's actually only going to spot out the 1, so that position is completely unknown. But we do have some Killjoy util to potentially kind of give a little bit of an early warning. I think that one trap was found, so now they know that there is someone lurking behind them. This is problematic because, yes, it's a numbers disadvantage for Goliath, but they're controlling all of the space at the moment, and Gascom are being corralled in. They now have to commit. They have to move forward. The breakable door has been broken, so Morgs is peppering in damage as they start making their way in. Instead now, Gascom, not a full pivot. It's just kind of the showstopper trying to find something, and Astral just gets completely ignored, finds the kill, makes it that double, and all the pieces for Gascom start to fall apart. They got that opening frag, but they lose the control that they so desperately fought for, and Goliath not only stabilize, but they actually pull the round over the line.
Yeah, and we're seeing a really global defense from Goliath, right? They're able to walk down C-Long for free, and even Astral's feeling very confident to walk through spawn, even after that recon. So a big kill from him from Rubble, flipping the map into favor of the defenders. Is even the spike was planted on A, there's 3 lanes that you have to contest as the attackers who are now defending that spike space. So going into this, the perfect 5 for Goliath Gaming. They pistol, both rifles, and both ecos are going to force a timeout here. It's a really well-worked one going into this, but the key here, the thing you're looking out for, is the ultis that are currently online. We have that lockdown, we have the, what's the kill contract from ISO? And then we also have the Hunter's Fury on Gascom, right? You can, in theory, chain together 3 rounds if you use those correctly, but on the other end of things, the only real unknown quantity is that Hunter's Fury. The lockdown is so formulaic, you know it's going C. Right, there's no other options, there's no levels of viability for that lockdown, so you're kind of forced into a very two-dimensional chess game at the beginning of the game, but if Gascom wants to, they can add a lot more of additional layers here. But I think with a 5-0 deficit, you kind of need to keep things as simplistic as physically possible, right? You want to equalize the game, the playing field as much as possible.
And the thing is, like, I generally don't want to kind of hone in on things like this. There's so much more that matters in a game, but it must be kind of pointed out. The 2 duelists, the people that you're expecting to be getting those opening frags, to be creating that space, have not actually found a way to get involved in these fights. And when they are trying to get involved, they're very kind of consistently getting caught out.
Yeah, and going towards this A side of the map is going to be Gascom once again, right? They're on a very mixed eco, so let's see how they'd handle this.
For now, it's just a little bit of a slower positioning. Gonna send out the boom bot to get some info. Rudy playing a very dynamic positioning game here. Has been on C, now kind of on A, so trying to just be very kind of unreadable. He's been forced off of that position, and off the back of that, again, orb control now for Gascom, so they really are just trying to get all of those ultimates online as quickly as possible.
And 3 towards the C side of the map. They're ready for a C hit here. They're giving up A entirely for the retake.
I think they have to go more retakey. When they try and take those early fights, they end up on the back foot. Well, you mentioned that lockdown. It's not going to be on C. It's actually going to be hit over onto the B site. They could still actually fake this out. And look at all the space that's being taken out of C main as well. So the possibility for a variety of different pincer maneuvers is certainly there. However, on the tail end of that lockdown, space garnered, they'll start pushing in. The Nightfall comes out, but it's not going to stop that plant from going through. They're happy to commit into it. Already Astral in prime position. How he made it through that door completely uncontested is beyond me. A double kill to shut down the post-plant situation. Kill contract comes through. This is a big moment for Tomical. Needs to come up here, needs to find the value, and so he does. Rudy taken offline, but Astral continues to be a problem, and they got a defuse. We were looking at the kill contract, and the spike got defused.
Yeah, and on top of that, 4 kills on the side of Astral, finding 2 more kills for the Troubles and just hammering that nail in. Astral, somewhat of a silent killer in his own right, and during LAN when I was walking around, he spent a lot of time just in range on Kovacs, doing all the small things to make sure his aim is one of the factors that never fails him. And this Goliath Gaming side capitalizing very heavily on that. The fact that their Sentinel is 17-3 on the scoreboard, has not needed to use his Viper Spit, his gun's enough.
As an Astral is terrifying online as well, but apparently he's a LAN warlord.
Yeah.
This is like some scary, scary performance. And that's amazing because it allows the rest of the team to really focus on setting up each other rather than feeling like they need to go for like crazy hero plays. Whereas on the other side of it, maybe Gascom feeling a little bit like somebody needs to make a play. Somebody needs to do something magical. But that last round just goes to show, even when they have the advantage, they struggle to convert. Rudy, slight off angle, and quickly catches James off guard.
Man, it's a big kill from Rudy. As that anchor, that chamber, you do want to be taking those early 50-50s.
I have the spike.
This is really good again from Goliath. So happy to just give up that A space. You'll notice they're not actually fighting for either mound or rubble control. They're super happy to say, have it. We will come back in, we will retake, we'll have more players than you. Now the showstopper is online. We did see that get whiffed a little earlier from Gascom, but it could be a huge piece of retake utility for Morgs. They've allowed the spike to get planted again. So happy. Hunter's Fury comes out. They know where this retake should be coming from. One player confirmed positioning. The follow-up is there, so a double kill from Gascom gives him space. How is Morgs just taking space? He's just walking onto site completely unnoticed. Rudy gets a follow-up as well, so now you've got a little bit of a crossfire being set up. Tap on the spike to bait them out, and the follow-up is perfect. Goliath are so in sync.
Yeah, it's the nature of LAN, right? You lose a lot of the audio fidelity that you get when you actually play at home, where you're in a very sterilized environment. So you get to LAN, the lights get brighter, the audience in the background is oftentimes deafening enough that you can't hear those small details, right? Tomical looking the wrong direction, Morgs playing that to his advantage, playing that to perfection, dare I say. Missing the showstopper, finding 2 kills with his Phantom is Goliath Gaming. 7-0, looking on track for fast pass to that grand final.
Oh, this is a bit scary. When you consider they had an overtime game yesterday, this is very, very impressive.
Standing ahead.
Let's see that momentum keep going. Gascom still have a chance, but they need to pick up a few more rounds here. They're in a lot of trouble at the moment. Money is starting to look very, very dire. And they need at least 4 rounds for me to even entertain the idea of a comeback in the second half.
Yeah, and it's really, really rough, especially because this ISO comp oftentimes wants to be winning that A main fight, wanting to be winning on attack side, and if you don't get any value on that attack side, you come to defense, you don't have a Viper, it's really hard to anchor it down. Killjoy, one of the more easily bypassed Sentinels, only having those mollies to delay.
Again, that LAN experience that so many of the Goliath players starts to come to the fore. We spoke about, having won LANs before, and that's, amazing in and of itself, but simply having had the opportunity to play in this environment, all of those things, the audio fidelity, the pressure, the lights, all of that, they've experienced it before, and not just once or twice. So they can lock themselves in that little bit more firmly. Once again, playing a little bit off site, but Rudy in that same spot finds one. This time he'll get traded.
Man, it's a beast, but yeah.
Already Tomical starting to take that space towards B. Beautiful timing on the snake bite. That's going to force them to have to rethink that entire approach. They've only got 15 seconds left. They need to commit to something. They're just pushing through smokes at the moment, trying desperately to find a little bit of space. The spike is going to get planted, but now the Wolves have arrived and the retake can begin.
Marseille Epic teed up to go big here.
Do they even know that he's holding ever so slightly? Yes, they check for it, Dewey. The man is moonwalking his way to victory. The paranoia comes out and allows Plucky to get a double, but he's still going to get traded regardless. So still, 2 players alive for Goliath. They need to get onto the spike and they need to find James. And James, well, he's come up huge for Gascom before, and he's going to need to do it again. They've invested the Viper's Pit. They are determined to make this an 8-0. A spam through the pit, trying to stop that defuse from happening. Astral swings out, but he's done just enough to allow the defuse to happen. The communication is unreal.
That's the small edges, right? He tried to ping the spike, tried to ping the edge of the spike, but he caught the corner of the wall. Right, James W is so close to greatness there, but that ping letting him down. The recent ping changes showing their effect, and my Viper's a lot stronger. Your pings don't go through the Viper splits or any kind of smoke anymore. They stop exactly where the wall begins or where the site gets obscured. So Gascom, had their one chance into this, James W was in a position to do that, but that ping letting him down is going to put them at a 8-round deficit, which is making this mountain a lot taller to climb. Oh, he breaks the darts. That's excellent.
That allows Rudy. Oh, never mind. Rudy just gets
never mind.
deleted.
I forget
They had a
something.
suspicion. Couple of shots ring out. Tomical starting to feel himself a little bit. Yeah, it's taken a while to warm up, but unfortunately, as he walks onto the site, Astral is there. What do we say about this C site? It is Astral's home, and he's going to look to keep being a problem. Slightly elevated now, so the Boombot's not going to stop him. Wants to try and stop that plant, but not going to be able to. Instead, he's going to get pushed on by that Stinger. James and Silly Epic bringing it back into a doable scenario, but a big double from Travis means that Theory has less of a difficult time on his hands. It is still a 1v2, but Fresno's very low, gets caught through the wall. Theory doesn't actually know where Plucky is, so he goes for the TP. You monster! And now the onus is on Plucky. He has to move forward, but he spots the barrel of the gun. The shots don't land. Theory lives longer. Theory hits the shot! No way!
That's that veterancy coming from Theory, right? He's been in those situations 1,000 times before. As we spoke to Travis yesterday about it, and this Goliath team has been iterating over and over again in what their roles are, right? Theory, on his first land win, was the IGL, and now he stepped off of that IGL role, giving it to Travis, and leading more into that just veteran, clutch, stable facility, right? So that showed right there, right? TPing in, keeping his nerves under control, getting that first kill, getting that final kill as well is massive. There's no one else but Theory's winning that 2v1.
Crazy. My mind is going to be replaying that for the rest of my life, because I think a less veteran player probably kind of shift walks and is a little less confident. But because he kind of Ferrari swings back into his smoke, the shots can't find him. And now he knows where his opponent is. And when he swings through his own smoke, he has that confidence. Oh, kill contract does land on Astral. Here's the problem. It's Astral. Never mind. Tomical had the shield up. So even though the shots land, they find the opener, but it will get traded.
Yeah, currently 2 for 2 on those kill contracts is Tomical.
Oh, the edge of the shield. Unfortunately, his demand, a spray down from Rudy, means that Tomical's life is forfeit. Now, thankfully, the spike hadn't started to make its way in, but now they're only 3 players strong, and they're at a deficit.
Yeah, and it's a really tough spot to be in, right? You don't have any A control to bail out. You don't have enough B control to pivot onto B. So, yeah, Spike on C, trying to work anything, trying to find a first blood. But Rudy's right here, ready to stop them from coming out this choke.
Pulled in reinforcements so we can set up a bit of a crossfire. We saw how deadly this crossfire was a few rounds back. They're looking to kind of replicate that success. And despite the fact that GG have lost a player and need to spread themselves thin, they've got pretty good control across the map. Now we hit the 30-second mark. The lockdown comes through as well. So a very expensive round. Does it pay off? Rudy finds one. Both vestiges of control on the C site have been eliminated. Now they can use that little bit of time that the lockdown garners for them to get onto the site and get the spike planted. It's going to be a 2v2 retake. The Nightfall from Door pulls all of the attention away from where Theory is moving in, but now he's doing the same thing he did in the previous round, and this time he will not get the same results. Finally, after a 9-round drought, Gascom on the board.
Yeah, that's a great recovery from a 3v4 to a 2v clutch, and that's a big effort from Gascom, right? On the back of a very simplistic KJ ult, right? You understand that that's a very time-tested, worn formula using that C ulti, and they use that to great effect, right? And Plucky's on that Killjoy role. Previously, it was Silly Epic on it. I remember Season 4, Season 5, Silly Epic was one of those big players on that Killjoy. So Plucky's having to step up, is stepping up, currently 10 and 9 on the little scoreboard.
For one of the first times, Goliath looking to get a little bit more proactive on one of the extremity controls. Will slow down the push from Gascom. Just that paranoia coming out gives them so much space to work with. Rudy's actually managed to find an opening all the way on the C site. So that's the lurk shut down, and now you can actually see how Gascom need to try and fill that gap. They need to ensure that no one is flanking off the back of that.
But that's the initiator. They have no way to actually aggress onto A with that.
I don't think that there's much kind of aggressing anywhere just yet. It's still kind of clearing, trying to find info. This is setting up Tomical. You notice how he's following that drone. This is setting him up into a position where he can maybe do something. And the fact that it's the Sova and the ISO, they're maybe trying to bait out some of those rotations. But it's not happening. And since they haven't found anything here, they're going to kind of revisit that A thought.
But they're running out of time here to actually develop anything. And Morgs and Theory are ready to receive.
35 seconds remain. Oh, they've actually recovered the spike and have started to pull it back over towards C.
30
So
seconds.
what
30
I
second
had,
warning.
I'd originally thought maybe they were going to pull back and hit over towards A. Instead, they think that C is a little bit less heavily guarded. Oh, shot doesn't quite connect. Spots the Sova bow, but not able to land it. So now with this wall, they're able to scale up, get themselves into position. 13 seconds remaining. They're going to have to go for that plant. And of course, Astral, this is his site. This is where he lives. The double kill, looking for that third. Morgs is going to steal it away, but with 3 seconds remaining, there is nothing really that James can do. And it's Goliath to find 10.
Yeah, a very confident approach from this Goliath team. They spoke about yesterday how their only goal this tournament is to be as disciplined as physically possible, play their game, try and reiterate on absolutely everything. So it's showing here there's a lot of protocols and layers that they're playing in their game, right? Simple things like Astral throwing that molly to deny them space onto site from the only real way to get to site, the most direct line. And then just doubling up on that, looking for the kill, just playing deny, deny, deny is Gascom. Struggling quite dramatically here. They have that Hunter's Fury still in pocket. They have another one, built up a second one going here. But there's no real clear win con, so they have to be a bit creative with it.
Astral's 20 and 7. I mean, he's double the highest killer on Gascom. Crazy the amount of work that he's getting done. And this C site is untouchable. What's interesting here is that now we're 3 strong on this side, and Astral just walks straight to his demise. That's big. That's a lot of utility taken off board. That's all of the control really that you have here. So it's a big opportunity for Gascom.
But Rudy once again off-angled an A-Link.
A different off angle. He does actually get punished a little bit. Doesn't lose his life, but very low on health. He can calm that over though. Start getting the reinforcements to move into position. Gascom now using a lot of this kind of environment to ensure that they can get themselves into a safe spot to plant. And the plant will indeed come through. And look at the lurk happening through B as well, getting ready to try and pincer in, but will they even have the time to do so? GG have already activated. The showstopper comes out and does find one. So that's one ultimate taken offline, but GG are already on the side, already looking to take these fights very, very early on. Spams through the smoke means that Silly Epic not going to be able to keep going. The Hunter's Fury gets pulled out. That's going to try and stop that defuse. So that's brave from Morgs. Runs straight into James's waiting arms. And now Plucky made this rotation all the way from Narnia. Travis doesn't know where he is. Through the smoke. How has Travis found that? What is that correction? A triple kill from the IGL, but does he have the time? No, he does not. The spike will explode regardless.
Yeah, it's a 10-2 half as by God's grace they actually win that round. Travis with an impeccable flick towards the back end of that. But it doesn't undercut anything. That's the way the Goliath game's been going. They're currently, 8 rounds ahead? 3 more mistakes for Gascom, and we're going to map 2.
That is our half, so we reset. Back down onto pistols now. It's a very important pistol for Gascom, but it does feel like maybe it's an opportunity.
Yeah, it's going to be after this technical pause, obviously. It's LAN. Stuff happens like this, someone gets excited, a headphone gets disconnected or whatever. So, but Gascom, a bit of a mountain to climb here. They're obviously walked into the wall that is Astral.